All right, share screen. Window, Tampa. There we go. Share. All right, that should be good. Let's see if I can make this a little bit bigger for all of us. That looks about this. I think that's about as big as I want it to be. Right. I hope I am coming through clearly enough. I'm gonna wait another 10 or so minutes before we get this thing on the road. Hello, Jupiter. I mean, Jonathan. How you doing? I hope you can hear me. Because if you can't, then this is gonna be very awkward. Can you hear me? I'm actually asking. Nice. Gonna wait a little bit longer just to let people show up. I'm going to live a little bit more early than I expected because I finished dinner a little early. Share copy link. Oh, jeez. Wait, hold on. That should be there. There we go. Man, there is not much happening. All right. About 5 more minutes. Got a couple little things, not much off to my side here to show y'all. I'm not going to be able to make my camera much bigger because I'm scared I'll end up with like a black screen again because I don't stream often. I mean, occasionally I do stream when events happen, but like I'm still not very well practiced in how to switch like monitors or switch between cameras to make the camera this thing bigger. I mean, I know how. The problem is when I switch back to sharing my screen, sometimes it just goes black. It did that for my first ever event recap. And since then, I've basically been kind of stuck doing this sort of thing. Sneaking around the corner. 8:25. 5 more minutes. All right, make sure it's all nice, good quality. Yeah, hot for dinner. Well, I had some hot dogs and corn. Like just hot dogs by themselves. We only had like one bun, so just cut them up, put them in some sauce. This was nice. And then I had like a cob of corn. Pretty simple stuff, but dinner's dinner. I'm also probably gonna. Oh shush! I will occasionally indulge in a hot dog. I'm just saying I don't like to get them like out. Like I don't like to go out and get a hot dog from a restaurant. I prefer like when I do have hot dogs, ones from like the store that you make yourself, kind of at like a restaurant. I want to get something that's really good because hot dogs are hot dogs are nice, but they're not that amazing. Okay, well, 2 people apparently here. Don't know who the other person is. Maybe they'll come. Maybe they won't. 3 more minutes before I'll start the thing. I think I also said that live chat's going to be replayed and this will be uploaded as a video. Well, it's obviously going to be uploaded as a video. Duh. 3 more minutes. Hope y'all are having a pleasant evening, wherever it is you are. Wait, I should have put this on before the stream. It's my Gator BattleBots jersey, which I forgot to wear to the event, even though I did in fact bring it. Next event planned. Well, the only next event that I know I'll be going to, but I know is going to happen, is November's Maker Fair event. But that's like in November, like obviously. So I'd like to go to an event before then to do some more testing, but looking at Builders DB, Jacksonville's the only Florida event. And even that's in September. Hickory Bot Battles, that's also September. Clash of Bots, June 13th. Yeah, that's also North Carolina. Still looking. Kansas, Oklahoma, Oregon, Arizona, Utah, California, Pennsylvania. That's nice. October is when my birthday is, so I might actually go to that one. Because birthday. Well, also because October is a pretty good month. Texas, Indiana, Colorado. I'm just kind of looking at the Robot Comet events thing right now. Oh, 1 more minute. Oregon, Indianapolis. That's the Tallahassee event I can't go to. California, Idaho, Illinois, Kansas, Michigan, Alabama. That's also in September. Gosh darn it. It's 8:30 yet. Come on. I was watching some DreamWorks Dragons before I started streaming. Because I'm bored and I figured I'd binge watch the show since I've never seen it before. Pretty good. Oh, it's 8:30. Okay, let's get this started. Hello all and welcome to the Team Howl's Robotics Tampa Roboticon 2025 event recap. I really need to think of a more concise name, but whatever. So just gonna kind of chat about the event, react to the fights that I have queued up here, to sort of talk about what went wrong, what happened, sort of preparation. And I guess we'll get started by saying this. Y'all probably already know how I did because I posted all the videos already. And I'd just would like to say this. This stuff like this is why I don't tend to try and be all cocky or confident before an event or even during an event, because when I do, this sort of thing happens. Like my robots will perform, like at least Florian in this case, will perform especially poorly. Because before this event, I was actually, for once in my life, in my career, I guess, I don't know. For once, before this event, I was feeling real confident about Florian's chances. Like I thought I was gonna get a definite podium. Like I'd gotten a fresh new motor, I redesigned the frame to protect the wires better. I just made the robot a little bit I just kind of refined those small little potential weak points, and I was thinking I am gonna just rock this thing. It's gonna be great. We're gonna get podiums. I might even get first. I was really actually thinking I had a chance of getting first place going into this thing, and I was also making a lot of noise and constantly bringing up the fact that I'm nearly at 100 fights with Fluorine, at least the name, whatever. 100 fights is going to be great. I was going to get my 100 fight here. And then Florian proceeds to do about as badly as you can do at an event. It went 0-2. So I'm now stuck at 98 fights, and I'm still waiting on fight 100. I think the universe was trying to teach me a lesson or something. I don't know. So, like I said, going to the event, thought Florian would podium. and chlorine. I was hoping that chlorine would get like a singular win. My expectations were really, really low for chlorine because I just completely redesigned the weapon system on it, and I had to get like a new frame for it, like a new carbon fiber frame, so that the new motor I was using would fit on that new frame, and then a new weapon to fit onto that new motor. And like I still hadn't really tested it because my test box is big enough to hit stuff in, so I didn't know how the robot would handle, hitting something for the first time. So that was a big unknown going into this thing. Um, uh, so yeah, that was that. And also another thing about this event is I arrived like a day early in Tampa, so I'd have time to sleep and not stress about having to drive at like 5 a.m. to get to the event on time. So, like I said, I was feeling for once kind of pretty good and confident about this event. So I get there, I set up, meet everyone, say hi. It's great because I rarely get a chance to, talk with these people and, fight robots, but whatever. I'm kind of getting sidetracked. So we get there, get through safety, everything's looking great. And so brackets get shuffled. I actually had them. I accidentally had to make them redo the ant weight bracket because I forgot to call out my robot's name, so they had to reshuffle the ant bracket to put me in, which was vaguely hilarious in some way, or maybe it was an indicator of things to come. Don't know. Okay, right. So first fight I had was actually in the beta weights, and it was good old Chlorine fighting against the Hammer of Thor, which is like some kind of thwacking robot. It's kind of like a thwack robot with like a wedge at the front to jam into opponents. And I'll be honest, I was actually kind of really happy about this matchup because, like I said, Chlorine had just been through a pretty big redesign, sorry. So I was glad at that for my first fight. I fought the only robot at the event that didn't have like an active weapon, which means that even if I lost, I would at least not have to completely rebuild the robot. So that was my thoughts going in were just, I hope it works. I was just hoping the weapon would work and like it would drive and spin at the same time and it would, be, I just hoped it would work. So let us watch the first fight of Chlorine at this event and the first fight I had at the event. Decent opening. I like that. I'm feeling good. Not much to commentate on yet because fight hasn't started. Okay. So I spin up, because obviously it's what you do, and I proceed to not move at all because I'm still spinning up the weapon because I suck at doing two things at once with my robots. I can either spin up or drive. I can't do both at the same time, even though I've been fighting with a horizontal spinner for like almost 3 years at this point. So anyway, spin up. He gets a good hit on me. No, it's not Sparks. I land like a pretty decent shot. The weapon isn't up to full speed yet, so it doesn't really do much. And he's also spinning away to do his thwack attack. So I'm kind of trying to, drive. And my plan is, I didn't really have much of a plan at this point. My plan here was basically just hit him and see what happens because he's spinning around. I might as well. And I'm thinking I can't really, I kind of was thinking trying to avoid the wedge thing at his front. Oh, I can turn the pipe bomb up? Yeah, sure. Again, I can't really tell how the balancing is. So my plan here is just hit him and also try to avoid this scoop thing because that's, how to avoid what you want to avoid when you're a spinner. Anyway, I'm talking too much. So I'll go in. Whoop. I spin up to full speed at this point. He's also up to full speed, I guess. And I go in for the hit. Boom! I get sent to one side of the arena. He gets sent flying all the way over there and just stops dead. And you can't really tell, but I was beyond thrilled because it just it, this hit, I think, right here is the summation of like a good 2 months of just completing. It's that is the culmination of 2 months of redesigning the entire robot. Well, not really the entire robot, but like most of the robots to accommodate a new weapon, build a new weapon, and just 2 months of work for this beautiful hit. Tears off his wheel. I cut right into his chest, and I think I destroyed his receiver or something. And he just taps out immediately. And I was just so happy. I'll be honest. Like, obviously, I didn't hit him again. That'd be just mean. But I was just. It felt like a weight had been kind of lifted off of my shoulders a little, like just a bit, because no offense to Hammer of Thor, but Hammer of Thor isn't like a kinetic energy, robot. It's a Blackbot. But this helped me feel a lot better and it kind of gave me a bit of confidence boost because the robot worked. It spun up, it hit my opponent, I survived the hit. Admittedly, I didn't completely survive the hit because right at the end here, I actually lost signal to chlorine and I couldn't drive it anymore. And then like the rodeo reconnected and I could drive it again. I think what happened is um the receiver and like the wires for the receiver were just kind of hanging in the robot, and I think they touched like the carbon fiber top plate, like um this thing right here, and apparently that's bad. And what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to put like tape on the inner side of carbon fiber so it doesn't conduct. And I think that's what happened here, and I think that's what briefly disconnected the robots, which is bad, obviously. So yeah, first fight, that went pretty well. I suffered no damage. Hammer of Thor did. Oh man. Like I said, I was feeling really good after this fight. Like it was just like I said, weight off shoulders. Well, I now know the robot does work. I mean that feeling was kind of ruined by the robot that stop disconnecting at the end, but that was an easy problem to fix. So yay, off to a great start. Let's move on to my next fight with Fluorine versus Pushy. Oh, I did. Yeah, I figured I broke the receiver. I took a picture. It was like split in half. It was kind of amazing. All right, so this fight. Oh god. So, Pushy. If y'all were at any of the live streams I did with the Junkyard Dog team or anywhere else, you'll know that I thought that Pushy was one of the only robots that I predicted would also get a podium besides maybe me and someone else, because Pushy is a control bot, and it's a pretty well built control bot because it can get under people. It's made of TPU, so it's not really easy to damage. And so in a bit of a run of bad luck, my first fight with Fluorine was face off against Pushy, the only rare robot that I was kind of nervous about fighting because control bot. And little spoiler warning, Pushy would go on to win the entire event in the Antweight division, which means I'm gonna have to really. I look forward to fighting him again so we can have a battle of the champions. It's gonna be awesome. But so back to this fight. Now that's happened yet. My plan is to just spin up and just try and keep the weapon facing him. Maybe try and get around to the side. Try to avoid. Just basically keep that weapon spinning as much as I can, and just ram into him. Um, that was the plan. I'm just gonna kind of skip. Oh, he's gonna zoom in. I hope this is too loud or too.
Why is it driving itself into the wall? Look, it's driving itself into the wall.
I don't know, Caden. It's just because Pushy is pushy. Because he's by me. Oh man, look at that nice paint scheme. I was quick little fun fact. That paint scheme is on the butt weapon bar is meant to be an homage, I guess, to my original weapon disc. Like the first ever custom one I ever made, I colored to look kind of like that. And this was kind of an homage to that for some reason. Because I was dealing again, I really genuinely thought I was gonna get like podium here. And so I kind of wanted to make it special. Yeah, God. Anyway,
He's just ready to get going. Twitchy little boy.
right? I'm feeling pumped. I can't remember. I think that's Jonathan. I don't remember though. It might be Ian. I know it's not Caden because he's filming.
2, 1, battle it out, y'all. We got 2 minutes.
Jeez.
Okay,
Okay, off to a poor start. Something else I should mention. I was using a different weapon motor for this match than I'm using. Oh, good, it was you commentating, Jonathan. The motor I was using in this fight had only 1200 kVs because I decided to try and be smart and respec my weapon to make it not give Caden an aneurysm every time I mentioned the words 450 miles per hour tip speed, because that was the theoretical max tip speed on the old Florian before this event. That was like the max tip speed Florian had. So I lowered the kV so it would actually fit the weapon I was using, diameter wise. Problem was, I am used to only giving like half throttle on my controller when I'm fighting with the robot, which is why in the first couple of exchanges, it doesn't look like Florian is really hitting Pushy that hard. It's because I'm only running half throttle on a weapon that spins quite a bit slower. So I had to then remind myself, oh right, I have to go full speed for once. And even then, I will say this: that weapon motor just was not fun. Like, I think partially was the muscle memory, like I said, and it was also just, I swear, it just felt bad. I can't really describe it. It just felt really bad. Anyway, the first couple of hits are pretty good. Again, things aren't going particularly well. So again, spin him again, hit him again.
There you go. Yeah, get a little oomph.
Finally spin the weapon up a bit more. And I'm finally getting a couple of hits. I get rammed again because I can't drive. You know, I'm doing pretty okay. I'm getting pushed around a bit, but
The wheel there.
I'm trying, Caden.
Ooh, pretty colors.
Yeah, he's admittedly a really
Good
good
one.
driver. I'm kind of sucking because of the weapons.
Oh,
And right here, right as he gets a good push on me, I think the weapon like caught its own wire, and like that caused like one of the little banana plug thingamabobs that connect the motor to the ESC to come unplugged. Like, it didn't get cut; it just came unplugged, which is a failure mode for the weapon that I hadn't seen since like Christ, like almost Maker Faire 2023. The point is, it's been a it's been a comparatively long time since Florian has disabled its own weapon or a weapon wire has come loose. It's something that just normally it had not happened in quite a while. And I think the reason that I think the problem was, and you're going to have some issues trying to see this, but there was no twist tie right here holding this like bunch of wires up. So I think at some point in the fight, the jostling from all the hits caused one of them to go down and get caught by the weapon and pull it out, which killed my weapon, and meant Florian had no way to attack its opponent anymore. And you could say I was up to this point doing arguably pretty okay. I mean, he had gotten a couple good pushes on me, but I think I could have possibly turned the tide and maybe at least done a lot better of a job. But with like pretty much, I'm trying to think, 40 few seconds, 2:30. Like there's basically a minute of the fight left, which is like half the fight, and I now basically have no weapon, and Florian has no plan B. And so the rest of this fight is me desperately trying to get around to his side to try and push. I guess even then, I think that might be possible. It, honestly, it's the weapon dying is basically my fault because I should have had a twist tie there, zip tie. Sorry, I should have just had a zip tie there to prevent this very thing from happening. I just it's one of those things you don't think about until it happens, and you're like, why did I not think of that? And so now I'm gonna have a lot more than just one damn zip tie holding the weapon wire in place. I'm gonna have like at least two, one near the front, one near the back. So if this stuff doesn't happen again, or I'll switch to I don't know, maybe a smaller banana plug. I don't know, but that's a good point. I think Pushes 4 could have done that. So the rest of this fight is gonna be very sad to watch. Um,
No, you cut your weapon wire, Darren. Florian.
yeah, this is just depressing. Yeah, you can really see my weakness here is Katie, you're not helping. You can see my weakness here is my really poor driving because I think I'm actually about as fast as Pushy. And hypothetically, if I was actually good at driving, I could maybe get to his sides or back.
What's the pin count? Are we doing 5-second or 10-second pins? We'll do. What do you think? 5
Yeah, you
second
can see the
pins?
constant oversteering and pushiness is evident in how I drive.
Who's going to make that all-important final impression on the judges? Closing in on 10 seconds. Now we counted, y'all. 10.
We should decide after this fight what pin counts are.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Thanks, Kaden. Okay, right. Pause. Okay. Yeah, Caden is a very funny guy, isn't he? So that sucked. Weapon. Admittedly, there was another slight problem I noticed, which was that the 4 screws holding of. So the weapon motor for Florian is held onto the frame with 4 screws. One of them was missing after the fight, and the other 3 were completely loose. So that was another slight problem. I think that might have also been why the weapon was maybe cutting its own wire. Well, not cutting its own wire, just pulling its own wire out. Like seriously, all I had to do to fix the weapon was I took the wire and I plugged it back into the socket, and the robot worked again. At least I thought it did. But that's the next fight with Florian. So not the best of starts, but at this point I'm still, tough loss, but whatever. I'm going to bounce back in the losers bracket and I'm going to get back to the finals and still podium. I'm still feeling pretty confident. So next fight is for Chlorine, and I'm facing Cert, built by Jeremy, who happened to be the guy I bought a weapon off of back at my old event, at the last event I was at, to fix Chlorine. Which, I don't know, I think that's irony or something. And I just realized I should have brought my box of parts because I ended up doing quite a bit of damage to him and he gave me a bunch of parts that I don't have. Would it be awkward if I let... Nah, screw it, whatever. I'll just talk. Okay, so this fight. So I'm feeling good. Chlorine has already outperformed my expectations and has actually won a fight by tap out / KO / tap out, whatever. So I'm feeling pretty happy. So this fight, I actually think I stand a bit of a chance because Cert is a vertical bar spinner and not like a big drum. So while his weapon can cut really well, it's a lot thinner. And my idea was I'm gonna get around to his side and try and smack him around a bit. We'll see how that goes for me. But aside from that, I didn't really have much of a plan, like always. Again, and also prepare yourself for some extremely poor driving on the part of me, because I suck at driving and I don't really get much practice.
Rise.
Also, I'm not sure why it's fitting only at 17 views. This is a pretty good fight, even though, as you see, I'm about to lose. Ooh, spooky Ian. I think my sister's filming this one.
And in the blue square, multicolored robot, I think it's pretty, I must say. It's the evil chemist.
Oh wait, that's Jonathan, sorry.
Chemistry and like to blow something up. It's glory.
Yeah.
Yay. I did a little thing because I'm feeling snazzy.
Drivers, are you ready? Make the car, you're ready.
Yeah.
Let's get this over with, come on.
All right. This battle will begin in 3, 2, 1.
Oh god. So first of all, Cert is really, really fast. That was quite a good box rush. I don't know how the heck he missed me.
Oh.
So I spin up and do really big hit right off the bat. And which knocks him on his back. I kind of have to readjust for a second. I'm like, where the heck am I? I turn around, spin up the weapon again. And unfortunately he manages to self-right himself before I can get over to him to smack him again. But I managed to, get another good shot on before I have to spin up the weapon again. I do a weird... I don't know why I do this. I think that's me. That is... Hold on. Actually, to explain it. This right here is just me oversteering the robot. And his brother who has Destroyer. Yeah, Pussy's a really good driver. Like, amazingly good driver. Yeah, I came up... I heard the line. That was a very good job, Jonathan. Nice work. Like I said, this here... This is just... This is why... Again, this is just me... It's my bad driving. I tend to oversteer my robots a load. I don't even know why I oversteer. Like, I don't... I think it's just a... I think I just expect the robot to turn a lot slower than it does. And my hands are not really good at countering that. So, man... Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm sorry, that was a big one. So, I just barely managed to get turned around in time for him to come just Hadoukening, Naruto running or whatever, across the arena right to my weapon. And just... Oh man, that is a massive hit. I get sent flying. He gets sent flying into the dang glass. And I think, is this the hit where the drive dies?
Oh my gosh.
Nope. Okay, so at this point I kind of have to take a couple seconds to, gather my thoughts. I think the weapon dies here. Okay, take a shot there. For some reason, I think the weapon wasn't responding. I think part of the reason was, I honestly don't know. I think maybe I was just... maybe I wasn't putting up the throttle enough. I honestly think the ESC had just shut down because it's gonna come back in a second. Because there's the weapon.
There you go.
He gets a good shot on my side of, I think, on the bottom weapon frame, which is now on the top. And I've also lost drive on the right side of the robot. So now I'm crab walking, which makes things a bit harder, which is great. But the weapon's now back, so I might still have a chance at winning this thing. Hit him on the way down. I get a chance to spin it again. Still crab walking. I get under him because he gyros upwards, and now I'm just cutting his underside a little bit.
Yeah.
He gets sent upside down again. I'm now desperately trying to get closer to him to hit him. And I'm like, Caden, I am trying to hit him. Do you not see what I'm trying to do, buddy? Hit him again.
Yeah. Darren, you got it. Just...
I'm yelling, I'm working on it, because that's apparently my catchphrase at this point. My sister's, bless her heart, she's being all nice and supportive, not realizing I am kind of in the middle of having a mild panic attack. Oh my god, desperately trying to just stay in the fight. Unfortunately, Cert manages to right himself again, and I'm still crab walking. And also, you'll notice that the weapon guard has come off, because all 3 screws that are holding it on, along with the weapon motor, have also vibrated out because I forgot to add Loctite. So that's great. Weapon is still, chugging away somehow. Um, I think at this point the weapon motor is starting, or well, the weapon is starting to die. I think one of the wires got cut at that point, and so one of the phase wires was missing, so it can't really spin as well. I get sent into the glass again.
Whoa.
I get hit again. And at this point, I realize that the weapon is dead, and also one side of my drive is still dead, so I can only crab walk. And at this point, I kind of realize I've basically lost, and I decide to tap out.
Taps out.
So yeah, that did not go well. You get it, Jonathan. Here's what I tell you what to do while you're driving in a fight. Only add stress to the driver. Shut up, I'm working on it. Yeah, like I appreciate the help, but mate, I'm currently focusing on what's in front of me. I can't really donate my energy to my periphery. So, ouch. So yeah, that did not go well. A lot of things were broken. One of the wires for the motor, like on the motor side, had just disappeared. Like the red wire was just gone. There was a little bit left coming out of the motor, but like it looked like it had like unplugged itself from the ESC. So the bullet connector for the ESC was still there, but the little bullet connector that went into that was gone. So I had to like solder on a new piece of wire with a connector on it so the weapon would work again. Something else that broke was one of the drive motors broke, which at first I thought the gearbox was broken because that tends to happen with my robots, or at least with fluorine, is that the gearbox will tend to break before the motor does. So I remember I took like the gearbox off and I noticed, hey, this still spins, which was really good because that means I could avoid having to like replace the gearbox, and also, well, it wasn't entirely good because I still had to replace the motor, but thankfully the electronics I use in chlorine make it so that replacing a motor is really easy. I just have to unscrew 2 screws and also like 4 screws on the actual part holding the motor to the chassis. Pull it out, and I just take off the gearbox, which is another 4 tiny screws. Take a new motor, take the gearbox off that motor, the new motor, put it on the old gearbox, and then put it back in the robot, and boom, drive is fixed. Third thing that broke is the bottom frame of chlorine. This part, well, not exactly this part, but like a part that looks exactly a lot like this. That part was completely trashed. Like I remember, I saw that it had like cracked. Like it had completely separate at one point, and there was like a long crack in another part of the frame. Like I think here and here is where the brakes were, like around here and here is where the brakes were. So when I realized at first I was just gonna keep fighting with that broken frame, but then I remembered I had a bunch of frames in my toolbox for the old version of the robot, which had the old weapon motor on it. And I realized that all I had to do to get it to fit, at least on the bottom, I just had to drill a single pretty large hole in a spot to allow the shoulder bolt to come up through that hole and into the motor and be secured at the top. And I would have a new bottom frame. So I did that. I took the old frame, I took it off, which is also fun because one of the screws, the frame had like split into layers, and some of those layers were above one of the screws holding the frame in, and some were still under it. So a screw was just basically stuck in the frame when I took it off. So eventually I gave the entire frame, the broken drive motor from earlier. I gave all that to the cert guy to make I don't know, some sort of wall ornament with it. I'm not sure what he's doing with it. I'll have to ask Germany next time I see him. And I just took that. I took that frame from the old version of the robot, drilled a hole in it, and slapped it on the robot. And that is what you see here. In fact, you can still see the 4 holes from the old motor that it was designed for. there's just a giant hole now right there, which means this probably isn't really structurally stable, but this part isn't really meant for structure because, well, the web motor still stayed surprisingly in place despite the fact it was only held in with, at that point, the shoulder bolt and not the free screws at the top. I also fixed the screw problem by actually taking Loctite and just screwing the and putting Loctite on the screws. I also didn't add back the the motor guard. I think partially because I just couldn't. I think it was I was trying to kill two birds with one stone. Like I knew the Loctite was the problem, but I wanted to just remove any sources of potential weakness and I want to use a shorter screw to reduce the chances of potential weakness. Because with the motor guard, the backs of these two screws right here are exposed, and that might be a weakness. I just didn't want to risk it, so I just didn't use the weapon guard, which was fine because there was only one other horizontal at that event. It was Deadline, and I think Deadline went like 1 and 2 or something. I don't actually know. I didn't ask because I was a bit too stressed from having to spend like half an hour fixing the robot. So, next fight is Flooring again. And so I'm feeling a bit down because I lost my first fight with Florian, but I'm thinking I'm going to bounce back. This is where the redemption starts. This is where I bounce back and I go to the finals. All I have to do is get through this generic vert. This Banshee's a 4-wheel drive vert. I faced verts before. They're pretty easy to fight. You just don't let them hit you and, go around them, which for some reason I tend to be kind of okay at sometimes. So yeah, I'm feeling good for this fight. And I don't think anything's wrong with the robot because I fixed that little I plugged the wire back in. I've added 3 extra zip ties to really make sure that damn wire stays where it is. And I'm feeling good. No, I won't. I think Ian. I don't remember. Thanks for the whistle. Let's get this over with. Come on.
Give it some beans, Darren.
So I sped up to full speed. Tiny hit there. Tiny hit there. Weapon is like slow for some reason. Hit him again.
Good stuff. Clip his ears, Darren.
Okay, I'm doing pretty well. Not much to say. I'm just trying to avoid that weapon. At this point, I start noticing the weapon is kind of spinning up kind of slowly, and I'm like, what the heck? I think I tried to, like, gun it again.
Where's that weapon power, man?
At that point, I run to the wall because I'm an idiot, but also the weapon stops immediately, which is weird. At this point, the weapon is, like, really having issues. So I'm like, why is it not spinning up? It's like I've clipped a phase wire or something.
Oh!
And, okay, admittedly, that shot there was kind of me being a complete idiot and focusing entirely on the weapon and not realizing, oh, wait, I'm still fighting. I have to turn around so he doesn't hit my butt. Yeah, this wasn't what we call intentional. God, that looks so bad. Yes. I will say this, the robot still worked after this, so,
Oh, ouchie.
Oh, that's how I got upside down.
That looks loose.
So at this point, the weapon is just kind of completely dead, and I'm like, what the heck is going on?
Oh, no.
Oh, the weapon part.
That looks loose. Ouch.
Get another couple hits in because I'm still stuck on why is the weapon not spinning, and I haven't tapped out yet because, again, I am being dumb.
You got drive, tap.
And I tap out, and I think he hits me, and I tap out while I'm in midair because I'm like, oh, screw this. Yeah, that's yeah, that's kind of a really crap way to lose, I'll be honest. Like, dang. So, what went wrong this time? This is gonna be kind of funny. So, I wasn't sure what the problem was at this point. first of all, the weapon wobbling was because I'd forgotten to add Loctite again to the screws, and now this time 2 of them had flown out, and only 2 of them were holding the weapon motor in. That was a problem, but that shouldn't have killed the weapon because none of the wires were cut. They were all still, at least to me, intact. Um, the problem I think was when I went to take the motor off, because my first thought was I burnt it out or something, which makes no sense because the motor was brand spanking new. It'd only been used like once before this event, just once, and that was me test spinning it when I put it on to see if it worked. And like it was basically new, and I'd done the math properly to get a good tip speed. So I took the motor off the robot, and when I pulled on it, one of the wires just popped right out of the top of the motor. Just came out with almost no resistance. And I think that was the problem. I think at some point that just wire came loose and I lost a phase, which meant the weapon didn't work. You see, this is what happens when I try to, I try to be smart. I actually tried to, prepare and, do the math, do all the proper work to make sure the robot was all optimized or whatever, make it good, make it awesome. And it blew up in my face so epically in the fact that the weapon failed to work twice for 2 entirely different reasons. Ugh, is all I have to say. Just ugh. So yeah, that sucked a lot. Especially again, I just had really high expectations, and they just got completely shattered into a million pieces. But whatever. So, what have I done since? I'm gonna quickly talk about flooring. I switched back to the old weapon motor. I had the robot ready to fight again in like 10 minutes. Like I was ready to fight again like 10 minutes. I just had to charge the battery really and just replace the weapon motor with an old one that I knew worked. But specifically the one for my first place finish, the one that I used that still works and has a bunch of gashes in it. I'm pretty sure this thing still works. I haven't actually checked, but I'm like 90% sure this thing still will spin up when I tell it to. I'll test it probably not tonight because it's like 10 p.m. or whatever. So yeah, I've also now I can finally talk about damage because I didn't take damage against Pushy except for the wire coming out. Banshee left a pretty sizable gash in my butt, right there and right there. And what else? Where else did he hit me? I think he hit me like right there. That's an old hit from Tyrone. That doesn't count. And yeah, I decided to finally bite the bullet and 3D print a new chassis, which I did earlier today actually, and it's already on the robot. Visually it looks pretty much identical to the old one except for like one thing you can see, which is that the hole where the wires go into the robot is a lot smaller to make it easier to contain them. And something else that I changed is I finally got rid of these stupid drive motor support thingies. I'm not even really sure what to call them. That I had. They were a holdover from like one of the first, like back when Florian was like a lifter. I had those in there to add some extra support for some reason, and I never really took them out of the design, even though I really should have. They were just kind of extra weight that didn't really help the motors be supported any better. So yeah, that's fun. The weapon bar, I saw in the fight, and I didn't realize this until I actually got home, but the weapon bar is actually like bent, like because the weapon wasn't moving and it took a hit. I think, like it's kind of hard to see, but there's a good like this part is like a good millimeter or a couple millimeters lower than the middle, which is what we call suboptimal. So this bar is, I mean, I could probably with enough time, bend this back into shape and it would still be functional. I mean, it is basically still functional. Like what sucks is that the teeth on it are basically still like sharp as heck. Like this thing saw almost no fights, which dang it, man, that just kind of sucks. I wish this thing got to hit more. I like seeing what the weapon can do. I'm proud of that design a little bit. So yeah, that's Florian's day over. I didn't even play any grudge matches because no one really um no one volunteered. I think Space Junk did volunteer. It's just I think he wanted to do another fight first, so we never ended up fighting, which kind of sucks, and also would have only been fight 99. I mean, I'll be honest, the likelihood of you being fight 100 are kind of slim. Not zero, but a bit slim, which sucks a little. But yeah, no grudges, which sucks because I had the robot ready to go, and I really wanted to, fight people because everything else in the robot still worked. The drive was fine, and I mean that's kind of all it is there on Florian is just the drive and also the weapon. So that kind of sucked. But anyway, Chlorine, amazingly, was somehow still in the bracket. Much to my shock, even though I had lost, but I had fully repaired the robot. Everything was back in working order. Oh man, that sucks. I really wish Kane had been honest. I really wish Kane had told us that Powerball wouldn't be ready because I would have fought you happily. Like if I really would have fought you regardless of it being 100 fights. Not because I like fighting people. Yeah, I think it's kind of for the best we didn't because I kind of would prefer to fight you in like a more high stakes environment, so that way have some more fun with it. Then again, I do also kind of want that grudge match idea you suggested about switching robots for a fight, so that way I can see if Florian is really as hard to drive as I say it is, or if I'm just really that bad at driving. I can already see it. I'd be flip flopping across the arena with Space Junk, oversteering constantly, trying to fight the Drago, and you'd probably just snipe the wheels off with almost no problem. Yeah. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. Chlorine bracket fights. Somehow I am still in this thing, and in another kind of weird twist, still want to. I do that in only. Listen. I would do it in a grudge fight, not a tournament fight, because in a tournament fight, I actually kind of want to win, because I have that competitive edge now. I want to actually win these things for the most part, and sometimes though you just have to kind of sit back and laugh. Hence this. So anyway, Chlorine still in the bracket, and my next fight was against a robot called Systematic Chaos, built by Nick from the Florida Poly team, the other college team that was at this event. And okay, so quick, I forgot to mention this earlier, but I was also the only UF person or whatever competing at this event. So I was kind of supposed to, fight for UF, which, was kind of a lot on my shoulders a little bit, but which is, that's cool. Only UF bot. Hope to do well, and I didn't, which sucks. Nick was the only person from the Florida Poly team actually fighting. He had like 3 robots. He had his Viper King, this robot, Systematic Chaos, and also his Fairweight Viper King Jr. Yeah, man. Well, Jonathan, next time we see each other and I get knocked out in like the first 2 rounds, and you end up winning the championship or whatever, then we can grudge each other. I'll remind you, or someone will remind you, probably. Anyway, Nick, Poly. He was also the only person from Florida Poly fighting. And so it kind of is interesting how this worked out. Both of our Beatles end up fighting each other. And it was kind of a battle of the college teams, which is pretty cool. Like I said, my plan here was, again, kind of try to get around to the sides and just hit him and see what happened. Funny thing about this fight that you don't see is before we tried to have this fight once before, and when I loaded Chlorine into the arena, the weapon worked, but the drive did not work. And I was like, "Oh, for crying out loud, you got to be kidding me!" So I had to postpone. Technically speaking, they were running this fight a lot earlier than it was supposed to be run. so I technically didn't have to postpone. So that was nice. I think the problem turned out. I think I blew up an ESC, or the drive ESC shorted because I forgot to put like a bunch of. I had electrical tape on the ESC except for the top, and I think it like touched the carbon fiber top lid and like shorted or something. Um, so that was annoying. So I thankfully I did bring an extra ESC to this event, so I just swapped the new one, and the drive worked again. And I also proceeded to cover the entire thing in electrical tape. Well, someone else covered the top plate, the underside, with a bunch of tape that wasn't conductive, so I wouldn't short the ESC again, which is great. Thank you to Aaron from Camino for that. So this fight, plan is just hit him in the side, see what happens.
Yeah.
Thank you, Caden, for bringing it up. I bear reminded you. I don't know why you mentioned UCF. There's probably a joke there I don't get.
Drivers, you ready? Yep. And we're going to start this match in 3, 2, 1. Fight, robots, fight.
Immediately he stood up. I accidentally turn too far left and go to his a bit too far when I'm trying to hit him. Land a really good shot right there. That really amazing shot that I think dislodges his weapon motor, and it stops, and it like comes loose from inside the robot and means his weapon doesn't work anymore because it's not connected to anything. I think like basically his belt slipped and the motor came loose, which is great. So now he has no weapon. Meanwhile, I'm doing a bit of a disco dance in the corner because chlorine. So I end up in the corner and I shut the weapon off almost immediately because I don't want to kill my weapon. And also, Systematic Chaos, is like I said, lost his weapon. So I'm kind of stuck gyroing though. That's the problem. Even though the weapon is off, it takes a good like 30 seconds for it to actually spin down because the friction is really, really frictionless. Really nice bearings in those motors. I finally, end up back on my wheels, which is great. I spin up the weapon again after driving away because I hit the wall because, again, I am good at driving. And I'm now realizing, oh my god, he has no weapon. And I have a weapon. And both my drive motors still work. I could actually win this thing. So I kind of get a little bit giddy, and you're about to hear my giddiness on full display. And slight cockiness, I guess. Thanks, Ignition. I don't know. I know it's a bit cringe or whatever, but dang it, I was just feeling really, really, really happy at this point because I had just gone through a massive rebuild, and I was fighting a vertical spinner again, and I was winning, arguably, at this point. And so I was just feeling really happy. So this shot sends him like, this was a weird hit. I think he like ends up like on the wall, but kind of off the wall and stuck on his side. So I realized this, and I'm like, oh, they're probably gonna unstick him. So I back away. And they're like, is he gonna knock him off the edge? I'm like, no way in hell am I knocking him off the edge. I basically have this fight won here, unless he gets unstuck, which it doesn't look like. Which unless he gets unstuck, and I want him to use up that unstick. So if this happens again, I win. Except they hold on, no one's commented. So at this point, I'm just kind of spinning the weapon down, and I'm also hitting his little parts that are in the arena because why not? So apparently, for some reason, this doesn't count as an unstick. I'm not gonna. I don't know what the rules were at this event, so I'm not gonna even go there. But apparently, this wasn't worth an unstick, so I get right. But I'm also thinking, okay, don't. I'm also thinking to myself, Darren, do not throw this away. He might get off the wall, so stay there and spin your weapon up so you don't. So if he does move, you can hit him again, which is what I'm doing here. For some reason, I decided to come up with a really great taunt, which is I'm not going to hit him, that's mean. That's not really the best taunt. I probably could have come up with something better, but I'm really not good at taunting people. Or I don't know what I was going for. I was trying to go for like some kind of mid-fight banter, but like to the audience or the person asking the question, and that was kind of the best I could come up with. But again, I'm not good at that. I am really terrible at coming up with stuff myself. I really need someone to yell at me in order to come up with something vaguely clever, which I'm not. So he's getting counted out, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm about to win a second fight.
Darren.
I do a victory spin because holy moly, Chlorine has just won 2 fights. And I let out like a humongous yell of excitement. First of all, I gave him like a big old thank you for fighting because handshakes, that's polite and all that.
Yeah!
And I Esther kind of covered it up, but I scream like yes, really loudly because again, massive rebuild. And also the fact that I had to replace the ESC before this fight for the drive, and I just won. This win felt so much better than the Hammer of Thor win because I just fought against a really tough opponent, really nice, good vertical spinner, and after having to having to open the robot up like twice to fix everything, and I had won. Oh man, I'll be honest, it just felt really good. Like I just felt so happy like that the robot was working. It's hard to put into words. Like I don't have the words to describe it. Just this robot which I've spent a lot of time and effort building is working better than I could have ever imagined. It's a really good feeling. I'll be honest. It's just uh right, I'm going to move on to the fall. And not really fall. So my next fight, all I had to do after this fight, I just had to replace a battery. I just had to charge the battery. I didn't even have to charge the battery. I just took out the the battery I was using and just plugged in a freshly charged one and started charging the old one because I had 2 batteries, so I could just swap them in and out. All right, last fight. My last fight of the event was against Camino. Yes, that Camino, the one from NHRL. So I was really nervous before this fight because Camino's pretty good because, and I realize people are probably gonna, I really, and I mean like I realize this probably isn't entirely true, but like Camino has been to NHRL, and NHRL is like the big leagues. At least I thought it was I think it still is like the big leagues, but like Aaron, the guy who drives Camino, is like, no, it's fine. It's like big. Anyone could go to NHRL and do fine, and only like 10 robots like have a chance of winning. Or point is, he was trying to reassure me, which good on Aaron. He's a good dude. But I was still nervous, but I was feeling a little confident. I was thinking maybe if I get lucky and I like can just avoid getting hit enough and hit him in the sides a couple times, I might stand a chance. But I'll be honest, at this point, I was kind of fully expecting to lose, and I was kind of fine with that because at this point, Chlorine had performed way higher than my expectations. Like I was expecting to go like 1-2 or maybe even 0-2. So the fact that I had gotten 2 wins at all was, I was happy. I could, even if I lost this fight, I could go home pretty happy that Chlorine had showed what it could do, and that I had probably a really competitive robot on my hands if I could just, work out some of the kinks. So anyway, Camino.
Driver of Camino.
Oh, look who's arrived. It's Steve. Hi, Steve. How you doing? You doing good? You missed almost the whole thing. Admittedly, I did start a bit early, so I apologize for that. We're just going over my final fight where I get my butt kicked. Don't sound so happy. Oh, shush. Gosh darn it, man. Look, I know I haven't faced you guys yet again, and I'll probably get my butt whooped by y'all by Big G and Drum Gun next time I face it, then also Rougarou. But let me have this moment, come on. Besides, we're about to go into a fight I lost. You're gonna be thrilled. Ah, jeez.
And the blue square, the rainbow looking lot, that's Chlorine, piloted by Darren.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said my name right.
All right, numbers, are you ready?
Kaden once again saying to give it some beans, even though I have been.
Let's now begin in 3, 2, 1. Fight, relax, fight.
Oh, jeez.
Underway, Camino.
Okay, spin up, and I avoid his box thrust. Land a nice, really solid shot on, on like the side of his uprights or something. Great hit. I'm still moving. He's still moving. Everything's wonderful. Shot into the wall. I'm still working. Spin up weapon again.
Come on, Darren.
Hit him again.
Yeah.
At this point, the weapon is starting to die on me. I'm like, so I'm in the corner. I'm like, okay, full throttle, and I'm like, wait, why is the weapon slowing down? And I'm not moving, which is kind of stupid. I should be moving at this point, but I'm not moving. Thankfully, right as Camino goes in for a hit, his weapon belt, I think, came off his pulley and got sucked into his weapon, and it jammed it up. So from this moment onward, Camino has no weapon. You'd think this is where I start winning and dominating again. Yeah, I did beat him to the post recap. I mean, that's because I just don't plan these things. I mean, I do somewhat plan these things. I make announcements, but I don't have much in the way of setup, so I just have to. Yes, exactly. This is exactly what I call high quality. You'll notice my amazing setup of my laptop and my webcam with my headphones, and also in my bedroom. Anyway, so Camino now has no weapon. You'd think this is where I go, yes, I can finally win. The problem is he's also right side up still, and he also has a wedge. So he can still pin me. And also my weapon is currently crapping itself a little bit for reasons that even I'm still not sure why it's doing.
Slow, Darren, slow.
And he's like, and Caden's yelling at me, slow, dude, speed up slowly. I'm like, I am trying to freaking do that, dude. Shush. I can't tell him that because I'm concentrating on my weapon, and I am, in fact, raising it up slowly, trying to get the weapon to spin up again. And, you know, I'm trying.
Slow, that's not slow.
Listen to coach.
So I'm now kind of partially doing two things at once, trying to drive the robot away from Camino to get around him, and also trying to get the weapon to start working again. Oh jeez, I should stop covering up the microphone. And also he's pinning me, so now I can't move, so I'm just kind of just sitting there waiting for him to... And I'm desperately, again, trying to, you know...
There you go. There you go.
I'm trying to get the weapon back going again, and it gets spinning up to a slow speed, but I can't get it to, you know, make that jump to spinning fast again for some reason. Again, I'm still not sure why this is, but you'll see in a second why I'm so confused. So I'm getting pinned again. I back away. Weapon's been off for a good, like, 30 seconds at this point. I get pinned again because, again, I can't drive. I finally get a chance to spin the weapon up, but unfortunately I forget to drive away from the wall, so Camino just pushed into my butt, and I'm stuck against the wall again. Nice joke, Ian. So finally the weapon is working again.
Okay,
Weapon is now finally back up to full speed so I can finally fight again.
Darren. Okay.
I'm trying now. I'm running away, trying to get the weapon spinning up again because it just worked. You just saw it work. But again, it is just not. It just keeps working and then not working for some reason. I think it's the ESC, but I couldn't tell you why it's doing this. again, I'm desperate again trying to get around it, but I just can't because again I suck at driving.
But there's a 0.00% chance of happening. We're down to the final 10 seconds.
Uh,
Here comes the final five. 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh,
uh,
she knows the distance.
and right at the end, the weapon finally starts working again, and I can actually speed up to full speed. And I show that off to try and sway the judges, even though I know that's not going to happen. And I end up losing the judge's decision, obviously. So yeah, not particularly a great ending, but I will say this: the robot at the end was still fully functional, and Camino wasn't. I think the poor dude had to like take the pulley off, and like in order, obviously because it was damaged. So, yeah, at least I did that. Let me actually show you. Like so, basically, again, but the weapon still worked at the end. So I'm really, really mystified as to why the um the weapon stopped working on it at the end of that fight. But so I think I have in fact seen a similar problem with fluorine though. I think it is an ESC problem because I've seen this exact same issue happen before with fluorine back at the scuffle at the swamp 2023 I want to say. I remember um during one of my fights I was fighting Fifth Magic and the weapon like worked for a bit. Then it like died completely and I kind of just spent like a good like minute or so awkwardly driving around trying to get the weapon working. And then, like about after a minute, the weapon worked again, and I hit my opponent and sent him across the arena. It was great. That exact same thing happened here. The weapon would work, it would stop working for like a minute, but it would start working again. ESA was browning out. I think yeah that makes sense. The problem is now how do I fix that? Like, do I need a bigger ESC? I'm using a 70 amp ESC in this thing, like off Just Cause Robotics' website, which is what's meant for this motor, I assume. At least I hope that's like the thing that's meant for this motor. If it isn't, then dang it. I think the way I fixed it last time with flooring was I just switched to a receiver that had a higher amperage, I guess. I hold on, let me actually find the thing. Pariah 70. This hold on a minute. Let me da, da, da. Hold on a second. Need to find it. Here it is. Okay, got it. This, if I can put this in the chat, I assume this will work because I'm the. Oh, for Pete's sake, get out of the way. There we go. There we go. That should work. This is the ESC I'm running. Does it have a capacitor? It does not have a capacitor. I assume that would make this work better. Like I said, I just kind of am using stuff from the website because that's was sold with the web motor I'm using. If I need to get a better ESC, I will, so that this doesn't happen again, so I can have the weapon running a lot more aggressively, and so I don't lose this pathetically. I mean, at least I was still working at the end, but yeah, I guess that's it. I think I can only assume that lack of an ESC. Like I have seen pretty high amperage ESCs available. Oh, for okay, smart guy. Okay, actually, I don't think you can actually post links in the chat. I don't know if I allow that or if YouTube allows that. But like, okay, smart guy, what ESC would you use then for like a big horizontal? Like, it's like a specific one. I'm actually gonna look this up now because link has been posted. Oh, that's Audrey. That's great. It's someone else I know here. Hope she's enjoying the robot jargon. Uh, so I kind of figured it was an ESC problem because I see this exact same thing happen before, so I kind of knew what the problem was, and I know the solution is either a bigger ESC or, like you said, I guess a capacitor. Problem is I don't know what type. I run a 30 amp, 35 amps. That's it. I mean, I know you have like a gear driven weapon, but that still seems really low. Like for a beetle weight at least. Like I know that the vertical spinners can run that because they don't have the vertical spinners don't spin as much don't have much of a load. I'm using a 70 amp ESC. I honestly thought that would be kind of enough for the sort of robots, but if you say it isn't, I will swap over to a different ESC. I just need to know which one, because I'm looking at the Repeat Robotics website and I'm seeing like brushless drive, bunch of brushless drive stuff, which isn't really what I'm looking for. Whatever. I guess I'll do some research and look up like 70. Like I'll try to look up like higher than 70 amp ESCs that have a capacitor on them. But aside from that, this is what Drum Gun uses. I'm gonna assume you posted a link because I know I can post links, but I can't. I don't think other people can, which sucks. Oh, okay. Yeah, I can't see the link, Steve. That's unfortunate. Uh, yeah, I'm looking. It's not appearing in the chat. I think YouTube hid it from me, which is annoying. How about this? When we have our meeting, our other robot recap meeting thing on whenever you're doing it, you can tell me then, or DM it to me on Facebook or whatever. Oh, okay, never mind. Sickware. I've never heard of that, but if you say it works, I'll use this. Let me take a look at this. Oh my god! Oh, I need to like solder on. Oh, gosh darn it! Oh well. Oh man, I have to solder. I'd have to solder on like the actual signal wires. Oh jeez, that's gonna be fun. Yeah, whatever. No one ever said these things were easy, but yeah, I'll bookmark this. Anyway, so yes. That was the event. That was kind of it. After this, I just kind of left because I couldn't get anyone to grudge me in time before I decided to leave. My family was also wanting to go back to the hotel to rest a little bit, and I need some dinner. So yeah, not my best event, at least for fluorine. It went 0-2. Can't really do worse than that. But chlorine, chlorine did pretty damn well, better than I was expecting. So that was good. I now know that I have I think I genuinely have something that can actually win competitions now. I just need to refine it a little, and I think I will have something really good on my hands. But yeah, aside from losing an entire frame and motor, chlorine's fine. Chlorine could probably fight tomorrow, like even today. Like it is shockingly undamaged, aside from the weapon bar, which there are some big gashes taken out of that. From I think certs, like there are some mean gashes taken out of that weapon. At least for me, mean. I think y'all probably think that's kind of pathetic. Probably. But yeah, damage wise, chlorine is basically practically undamaged. Fluorine was a bit worse off. I replaced the chassis and the weapon bar, obviously. I haven't even actually drawn on the chassis yet. I haven't added like all the stickers and the red and green port lighting or whatever. But yeah, Florian is also ready to go for its next event. Sadly, that won't be until at best September with the Jacksonville thing, or maybe in July if someone wants to, do something else beside the Tallahassee thing, because I can't go to the Tallahassee thing because I'm gonna be in Tampa at a concert for Offspring, which is gonna be pretty fun, I think. But yeah, no robot events for a while, which that does give me more time to think and prepare for a really big event, which is nice. But yeah, next I do. But the thing is, this event taught me a lot of stuff. Learned a lot. I am much better prepared for next time. I won't lose in such dumb fashion, and Florian will actually, hopefully, this time, fingers crossed, do a lot better. And I will also reach my 100th fight because I'm now at 98 fights because, of course, I am still. So I get to keep talking about that. Actually, I keep bringing it up in conversation. You see. Actually, no, this is all part of my plan. It just got you guys. Cost us like $9. Lucky you. Actually, I was pretty lucky as well. I pretty much had nothing to really. I don't have to buy anything to replace. Anyway, actually, this was all part of my plan. Florian going O2 is actually part of my 4D chess move because I knew I could easily sweep this thing if I wanted to, but I purposely held back because I wanted to give everyone false hopes that that make everyone think, oh, Florian's had it. Florian's now, past his prime. And so that way at my next competition, when I show up, people are going to be like, oh, it's just Florian. We don't have to prepare that hard against him. We could just, kind of not try, and they won't try against me. And that's how I'll get them. I'll show up with like a much better robot and I'll just sweep the whole division with no problems whatsoever. So this was really all planned. Okay, I can't do the bit. I'm sorry. I tried my best, but I cannot take myself seriously when I tried to do that. Yeah. uh, did you like that joke? Was that funny at all? Nice strategy. I'm sorry. I don't know why I find that so funny. I think I'm maybe suffering from exhaustion or something because I am too tired. I think I'm suffering from sleep deprivation because I'm finding that really funny for some reason, even though it isn't. I don't know. I think I'm just coping, well, attempting to cope with my horrible performance. But hey, at the very least, I think I did at least. I think I was at least entertaining, which that's all I can really wish for sometimes. And you know, what are you gonna do? Um. So yeah, that's kind of it. That's the stream. Nothing really else to talk about. The only thing I have to do with chlorine is just get a better ESC that doesn't do that, even though I'm using the one that is meant for this motor, but whatever. Anyway, so it's not how you type your page. Yeah. Listen, Florian will be back. And this time it won't lose in dumb fashion like before because I switched back to my old weapon motor, my old reliable, the one that won my first. Okay, not my first place, but my first place finish this year. I won with this motor, and I'm gonna come back, and that's my lucky motor. That's the one I'm gonna keep using until it finally, explodes and catches fire. Anyway, that's kind of it. That's the event. That's the stream. I'm gonna kind of wrap it up pretty much now. Thank you all, the two of you who are still here, for joining. Means a lot, I guess. Looking forward to the next event. Looking forward to popping on to Steve's thing on whenever he's doing it. Go subscribe to Gene Junkyard Dog for some wholesome family fun robots and also some hilarious streams. Thanks for joining, man. Steve. And yeah, that is that. So I guess I'll sharing so you can actually see me in full. That is me, Darren of Team Halogen Robotics, Florine, signing off for now. And I will see y'all at the next event. Have a good evening. And there we go.